Good evening, everyone. I am delighted that you all are here in this Friday evening, particularly the last day of a week-long conference. Before I start, I also would like to thank Brendan Wolf and the entire Encyclopedia team for their invitation. I am very much grateful. Let me begin. Success in this world and attainment of heaven in the other are for many people the goals of human life, but classical Indian traditions, not only Hindu, but also Buddhist and Jaina, see freedom from the transmigratory existence, from the cycle of death and rebirth as ultimate well-being, and define it as the ultimate goal of human existence. None of these aims is attainable from theological and normative perspective at least, without knowing the ultimate truth, its nature and our relationship with it. Therefore, like in any other culture, ancient Indian thinkers have thought about the ultimate in various theological, metaphysical, and philosophical contexts, looking at it from different perspectives. The ultimate can come in different incarnations, something fundamental, foundational, and irreducibly real. For example, the 4 or 5 elements or atoms. It can be that which transcends all in existence, phenomenal or nominal. It can be a transformative truth or perspective that is normatively or soteriologically most important, such as the truth of dependent origination or emptiness in Buddhism. It can also be the one controlling and ruling the world, such as God, time according to some, or destiny, omnipresent eternal cosmic ritual, or karma according to others. We encounter all these in Indian traditions. I am not able to cover all of these today, but some, particularly those of theological significance. To be more precise, I will focus on the theological and philosophical notions of Brahman, Purusha, and Atman as the ultimate, the cosmic principle, and the essence of every sentient being. The concept of the ultimate in Hinduism definitely has theistic roots. Ancient Indians are well known for plurality and diversity of their gods, worldviews, rituals, beliefs, and customs, elaborated in their equally diverse scriptures and discourses found in them. And it is not surprising that people in such polytheistic environment make a hierarchy of gods they worship and identify one among many gods as the highest or the most powerful, most important, supporting and governing the world of sentient and insentient beings. If we enter the early Vedic world of Rig Veda, we find inspired poets praising one or the other god as the most important in terms of ritual, cosmic, or other way, as the strongest, mightiest, dearest god, or the most invited god, or also as the god over gods, the god among gods, the one alone, and so on. Many people subscribe to this approach even in current times and name one or the other god as the ultimate according to their choice, inclination, or devotion, placing other gods lower in hierarchy. They worship many gods but identify one as the all-powerful. Initially, as it appears, they had not even coined a fixed term to refer to the ultimate in the Vedic times. In the hymn of golden embryo, they resort to a rhetoric of lamentation as they are unable to give him a name. They do describe his functions and actions, and in a refrain repeatedly ask, who is the God functioning this way to whom we should do homage with our oblation? The hymn says, the golden embryo evolved in the beginning, born of the existent, the Lord alone existed. By his greatness, he alone became king of breathing, blinking, moving world of bipeds and quadrupeds. The Himalayas in their greatness and the sea together with the rivers belong to him. His are all directions, zenith and nadir are his arms. He is the progenitor of earth, the firm foundations. He is God over gods, the life of gods. He engendered heaven. He engendered the gleaming lofty waters. He oversaw cosmic waters, giving birth to the ritual. He made the mighty heaven and earth form, steadied the sun, the firmament, and measured out the EuARe realm in the mid-space. He supports the earth and heaven here. He is the giver of breath, the giver of strength, and including the gods, all honor his command. Immortality is his shadow, death as well. In the middle of these descriptions, who is the God to whom we should do homage with our oblation? This refrain is repeated. The trouble faced by this poet is that the God he has visualized in vision is so great that he cannot be contained in one name. In Rig Veda, as Jamieson and Bradenton remark, I quote, by invoking, varying, and meaningfully placing God's names in their verses and by echoing the sounds of those names, the poets bring about the presence of the gods. The sound of those names and their epiphany. More than in any other single feature, the essential nature of a deity is expressed in the God's name. The God is who the God is because the gods always the truth embedded in that name, unquote. So, inability to contain the ultimate in a name was the problem of the poets who envisioned it. For some time, they continued asking rhetorical questions, using a descriptive term or presenting enigmatic riddles, but it seems they were having in mind at times, initially, the sun god with different functions, or the sacred fire, Varuna, the god of cosmic order, or Indra at others. However, soon in the first and last book of the Rig Veda itself, and in other Vedic Samhitas, the Vedic seers make a leap and start to see the one not among many gods, but behind all gods, one and the same behind all, and all others as different manifestations of that one. The seer of Rig Veda 1.164 says, he is one, but the wise people with poetic vibrancy call him in many ways. They call him Agni, Yama, Matarishwan, and so on. As Rig Veda 10, 81 and 82 describe, he is the maker of everything. He is the carpenter and smith of creation who fashioned the world. He creates all and everything. He is the priest engaged in the cosmic oblation, pouring out all living beings. He is the cosmic oblation, simultaneously the agent, object, and process of it. He sacrifices himself to create the world. He has his eye on everything. He alone produces heaven and earth. He forges them together with his arms. He has eyes and face. His eyes and face are turned in every direction. His arms and feet move in every direction. He conceals those of the past as he enters the later generations. He is vast in mind and power. He is the just and vast distributor of the rewards of our deeds. He manifests to the highest, greatest, subtlest, and fullest. He is the father and progenitor of all. He knows all the domains and all living beings. He is the one alone who gives names to the gods. And by implication, I would add, to all those he has casted in the manifest phenomenal existence. He is the Lord of speech, specifically the Lord of truthful speech, Brahman. Thus, he is the omniscient thinker and the omnipotent actor. In the Middle Vedic text, alongside the ritual, the conception of the ultimate develops further, and as it becomes difficult to see the sun god or any other exalted divinity as the ultimate, the seers name the maker of everything, the newly understood ultimate, as Prajapati, the Lord of creatures. He has macrocosmic and microcosmic bodies, greater than the greatest and subtler than the subtlest. As the Vedic ritualist of the Brahmana text narrate, Prajapati was alone in the beginning, but had independent will and desired to be embodied, to have the world with sentient and insentient beings for his body, and thus diversified himself into the world. He does it again and again, eternally, perennially. He makes everything transmuting into various beings in different levels, enters them as the inner self, introduces order and rules for them, and remains at the top of everything as the just supervisor, witnessing operations of all rules and laws, including the laws of karmic result and mechanism of ritual. He sets everything in motion or station. As Keith describes, I quote, he is constantly the creator, the ruler, and the preserver of the world, and is accepted by every Brahmana of the period as being the Lord of the world. He is, it may be added, without any ethical importance. The conception of him is purely intellectual, that of the unity of the universe. Of Prajapati's activities, the most interesting are his relation as creator to the gods, to the Asuras, whose connection with the darkness and cunning, and also to men. He is, however, much more than the mere universe. He is the unmeasured, unexpressed, as opposed to the measured and expressed in nature. He is the 17th behind the 16 elements of the psychic organs, the 34th above the 33 gods. He is universal peace, the decider of disputes among gods and among gods and demons. He gives Indra his victorious prowess and his crown of victory, I unquote. He is also equated with the altar, the body of the ritual, and its supermundane representations in various levels, with time, the ear, also with the sacred truthful speech, and actually with many other entities of mythical, ritual, and metaphysical value, including ridiculous and daring, the leftover. So leftover in the sense that he created the world and then he transcended, so that way he is the leftover of the creation. In fact, no name, including the Lord of Creatures, can carry the weight of the ultimate. Some Vedic poets, mystics, and exegetes realized it as they became more contemplative and resorted to metaphysical principles such as the nameless and formless so-called non-existent or the existent. This metaphysical principle has multidimensional transmutations. For example, in its fervor of creation, it evolves into heat, water, and earth in the ontological sphere and then diversifies. In ethical sphere, it evolves into the cosmic order, truth, and aesthetic power, then diversifies. In the bodily sphere, it evolves into speech, vital actions, and mind, then diversifies, and so on. We may say it is the it encountered even before we predicate and say it exists. Every predication, designation, description capture only one aspect of it, or even the truth of any being, it can only be a verbal handle. The Nasadiya Sukta of Rigveda 10.129 even tries to go beyond and says, neither the non-existent nor the existent existed at the primordial dawn, neither death nor deathlessness nor time, nothing else beyond that was there. There then was the darkness of unknowability hidden by darkness. All this we call the cosmos was then a signless ocean, concealed by emptiness. There that one breath without wind by its independent will, born by the power of own energy. The ultimate thus is the sole source of all diverse forms, from where every entity springs forth, and it is the repository where all, including individual living beings, go back. It is the basis that provides space or occasion for all to come into being, but difficult to describe. On the other hand, these too much depersonified principles, though desire and resolve were still assigned to it, could not obviously whet everybody's palate, and so were abandoned subsequently in the favor of the neuter term, Brahman, but with good support of agency, which originally meant truthful speech and covered a range of connotations such as prayer, Vedic sacred learning, scholarship, and even we can say theology, by extension the holy word and the sacred in general, because of epiphanic capabilities of the prayer and also because of its earlier equations with Prajapati, we can assume it also implied to the one behind all gods. In the view of the early Upanishadic thinkers, Brahman, the ultimate, has two forms, immortal and mortal, which can be interpreted also as non-embodied and embodied, dynamic and static, and two halves of the truth. As they perceive, the essential core of the immortal is Purusha, the person, the principle that thinks, knows, cognizes, is self-aware, luminous, perceives, and the essential core of the mortal is the physical body of the sun. Vedic texts work with symbolism. So you cannot take things literally, but yeah, at the center, there is the physicality is the cosmic engine of the sun, and then the consciousness on the other. As it appears, there were some people with a devotional heart who did not want to completely depersonify the ultimate, even at the transcendental level. They simplified the notion of the Lord of creatures simply in the notion of the man, the primordial man. As they described, the primordial man covered the earth on all sides and then extended beyond. The primordial man is what has come and also what is to come into being. He is the master of immortality when he climbs beyond this world. The world is his vastness, greatness, but he is more than this world. A quarter of him is all living beings, and the 3/4 of him rose up as the immortal. In this doctrine, instead of forms, Purusha is seen as having higher and lower natures, identified as the self-luminous and cognizing principle and the world of the dynamic materiality. By the way, this doesn't mean that older concepts die out. They continue parallelly as much as possible, adopting sophistications of new ways of thinking. So exaltation of Vedic gods continued parallelly. Rudra and Vishnu found new interpretations and adherences. Here we can observe that the Vedic seers are now thinking about the ultimate in more complex ways in terms of metaphysics, and have realized that the ultimate is not only immanent but also transcendent. Actually, in Brahman, they have found a theory of everything. It is the origin of everything. For example, in the social sphere of gods and humans, initially Brahman is alone as the priestly, the sacred, but feeling incomplete in the fervor of diversification. It transmutes first as the mighty, the royal, then the skillful, then the class of common people, then as the serving class. But still it feels incomplete and transmutes again as dharma, the social law claimed to be constant, and he becomes complete and satisfied. So they use the same principle to explain the social hierarchy or reality. There is a similar story concerning gender distinction and reproduction. Thus, Brahman is the being of beings, soul of souls, life of life, present in all as the substratum of existence and being. Thus, by the time of earliest Upanishads, we have 6 different concepts or models for reflection on the ultimate. First, the God among gods, or the Lord or King of gods. Second, as the God behind all gods. Third, as the creator and ruler of everything. Fourth, as the first being that becomes the world through self-sacrifice and transcends. That means immanent come transcendental God. Fifth, as the metaphysical principle with dual nature, explained from cosmogonical point of view, accepting the world as real. And the sixth, as the metaphysical principle, explained from the cognitive contemplative point of view, with a strong apophatic denial of the world, with focus on the transcendent. These 6 concepts of the ultimate, based on the changing notions of Brahman, Purusha, and Atman, independently or in combination, inspire theological and philosophical developments in all traditions of Hinduism in various stages, in the late Vedic age, in the age of development of philosophical systems, and in the age of philosophical and theological exegesis. For example, we have some evidence that the original theistic Sankhya tradition, which was rooted very much in Vedic theology, that believed in the sentient and insentient as the dual nature of ultimate being. According to it, these 2 natures of Purusha evolved together, combined into everything in the world, creating a hierarchy down to the level of diverse individual being, and even to the lowest level, it is combination of 2 natures of the ultimate. According to it, these 2 natures of Purusha evolved together, combined into everything in the world, creating a hierarchy down to the level of diverse individual beings as the body and the embodied Purusha. All and everything, all persons, according to this view, are like sparks, or we can say minion clones of that cosmic embodied person, retaining the dual nature of the embodied and his body. In the process of evolution, or you can say devolution, the body changes, but the purity of the sentient does not change in substance, even though its functions and appearance changes. For them, the ultimate as the cosmic self is present as one, but as the world, it is diverse. Likewise, we can reflect on the propositions of various exegetical schools of Vedanta and other philosophical systems. Shankara aligns himself with Yajnavalkya and sees the God as the appearance of the ultimate, perhaps the best, highest, but not ultimate as it is, the universally present, fundamental, metaphysical or ontological essence, according to him, present in everything. For Shankara, the ultimate Brahman transcends the world and is different from the world. The world cannot independently exist. It appears or occurs in Brahman. Therefore, it is neither real nor unreal for him. The ultimate reality of Brahman is independent. It is like the water of ocean, different from whirlpool, aquatic animal, and so on. As he thinks, the ultimate truth cannot be experienced through our devotional relationship with God, though he acknowledges the value of such relationship in purification of one's mind, but believes such relationship can be blocking the true, wider or holistic, all-encompassing, direct encounter of the ultimate. As he proposes, one can gain non-dualistic, holistic awareness of the ultimate after seeing the limits of human intellect and critically negating everything in the world, one by one, and seeing the ultimate as transcending all of them. This method of critical negation, according to Shankara, will allow them at the end, sooner or later, to experience the transcendental as the foundation of everything, remaining unnegated in every negation, lying beyond name, form, and function or process, which mask the reality by highlighting only one aspect and masking the rest. The moment one is awakened to this reality, one starts seeing the transcendent and the immanent as one and the same in two forms, infinite and finite, and becomes liberated in life. This very much commits to the non-dualistic proposition of Yajnavalkya, one of the 6 propositions in the Vedic world. On the other hand, Ramanuja in the 11th century argues, citing older texts, older exegetical texts, the word Brahman denotes the superior most person, the ultimate being, who is by nature free from all defilements and possesses a host of innumerable auspicious qualities of boundless excellence. The word Brahman is used everywhere, he argues, in literature in connection with the quality of greatness and exaltation, and greatness lies there where lies the boundless excellence of intrinsic self-nature and also the qualities. This is the primary meaning of the term, according to him. And such a being is no one else but the Supreme God, Supreme Lord. Therefore, the word Brahman is primarily used in that very sense. When used in connection with anything else, the usage is metaphorical, thanks to the connection of that being or entity with a trifle of those qualities, because it is not appropriate to postulate many referents of a word. For example, the term Bhagavan primarily refers to the Supreme Lord and metaphorical to any individual being having such qualities. All those who are sick of the threefold affliction should precisely seek to know him for the sake of immortality, Ramanuja says. Therefore, precisely the Supreme Lord is Brahman, he argues, the object of everyone's spiritual quest. In his view, the ultimate Brahman is different from non-sentient matter known through the ordinary means of knowledge, such as perception. He is also different from the sentient souls, whether connected with or separated from matter. The ultimate is free from even a shadow of imperfection of any kind. So for him, God, one, infinite number of sentient beings, number two, and insentient primal matter and its products, the world, these are three independent, irreducible realities But these three are inseparable, and the Lord Vishnu rules over the other two as he presides over the world, because he is an ocean, as it were, of auspicious qualities. He is the sole cause of the entire universe and constitutes the inner self of all things. Thus, the ruling Lord is the soul of souls, the soul of the world, comprised of sentient and insentient beings. As the ultimate, he is the pure being, omnipotent, omniscient. His purpose is always realized. He is the abode of Sri, the excellence personified. He sports with cosmic tasks like creation, maintenance, absorption of all worlds. He has vowed to exclusively protect all different classes of beings devoted to him. As he explains, ocean is water as well as waves, foam, whirlpools, animals, plants, all there. They are different but inseparable from the ocean. Likewise, souls are modes, bodies of the Supreme. So are the objects in the world. The same proposition of three irreducible reals is in inseparable relation can be found in Shaiva and Vaishnava traditions, with the same belief that Shiva or Vishnu or Krishna is independent and reigning supreme and presiding over everything and every process. We can easily relate the core of these propositions with the pre-Yajnavalkya period of proposition of Brahman with two forms and Purusha with two natures, sentient and insentient, and inseparability of Brahman and the forms that is implied, I would say. Some other Saiva and Vaishnava traditions believe that God is the ultimate and the same irreducible three reals are there, but they add that all sentient beings should serve him because the Lord is capable of eternal damnation or elevation of them. He can free them, grant them companionship, or keep them in bondage. So this position can find support from the earliest notions of the ultimate as the almighty ruler of the world. And the realist school of Nyaya Vaisheshika can be aligned here, which believes that there are atoms of different kinds serving as the building blocks of the universe. Atoms, time, space, mind, individual sentient beings, and God, all they enumerate as real, but assign special significance to the Supreme Self, the great God, Maheshwara, the name, who plays a crucial role in creation by connecting atoms, and he makes composite things which are tangible, visible, and nameable. They are moving and functioning. Furthermore, the Supreme Self supervises distribution of the rewards of the deeds of infinite sentient beings justly. However, they in principle believe that the ultimate, the Supreme Lord, is capable of doing things, not doing things, and doing things otherwise beyond normal rules. But he adheres the rules he creates. Now, let me reflect on the possibility of human engagement with the ultimate, how to experience the ultimate. So all this was about thinking about the ultimate. Now, how we can relate. As soon as we enter the Upanishadic world of abstraction and meditative cultivation, we are exposed to difficult questions which are beyond cosmogony but closer to human heart. If Brahman is the cosmic principle transmuted in everything, what are we as a self-aware, knowing, thinking individual beings? Or how can we understand our core if we are individual representations, reflections of the ultimate, and our mind, speech, and vital functions are his expressions? How much we are different and how much not different from Brahman, the ultimate? What is the meaning of spiritual quest if we are already Brahman? How can we relate ourselves with the ultimate, unite with him, or experience him, and so on? The first solution to this we find in the form of a meditation on Brahman, the ultimate, as reality or truth or existence. The Sanskrit term is Satya, which can be translated in multiple ways. The connotation is the ultimate as immanent, positively existent. As Sandilya of Kuru Panchala, a forerunner of Yajnavalkya, of Kosala Videha teaches, One should meditate in one's lifetime that he is the subtler than the subtlest Purusha, as if a grain of rice or a grain of barley or a grain of millet, inside the universal body that is all present and greater than the greatest. This ancient teaching distinguishes between Purusha as the cosmic core, represented or reflected in every being, and Atman as the enduring body, and understands that Purusha as the sentient dwells inside Atman, the body of vitality, in cosmic level as well as in individual level. To be released from the individual's particular inner enduring transmigrating body and be in the cosmic universal body, one should meditate in one's lifetime, or at least in the last moments, on the cosmic body, which is made up of mind, manomaya, has vital functions for its body structure, prana sarira, light for its appearance, bharupa, and space for its body feature, akash atman. The body capable of changing its shape freely has the swiftness of mind. A body capable of changing its shape, which has true imagination and true purpose, a body that partakes of all smells and all tastes, that holds sway over all the quarters and pervades all in the world. Maybe there are some contradictions, but he is trying to encompass everything, no? Which is speechless and intentless. That is my body. I shall obtain that after departing from here. Whoever has a determination in this way, no uncertainty is there for him. For the individual person in this world is endowed with the volitional power, kratu, and with as much of this power one departs from this world, so much power, volitional power, he comes to possess after entering the other world. Perhaps after a couple of centuries or less, Yajnavalkya in Kosala Videha, the authority in the younger layer of Satapada Brahmana, has a slightly different idea of Atman, according to which Atman is omnipresent like the space and is without any attribute in itself, but as things occur in omnipresent Atman, its conditional attributes appear, according to him. And the best, most fundamental of such attributes are godly, we can associate, pure being, pure awareness, and pure bliss. When things come together and a body is formed, either cosmic or narrow, Atman serves as the core of that body, so he believes. We see in this doctrine Purusha and Atman merging into one. Vitality is not different from self-luminosity for him. Vital functions come out of the core when conditions are met. Yajnavalkya asks to experience this fundamental principle of Atman in its purity, first through cataphatic, but ultimately through apophatic awareness of one's own self. Once thus purified, by way of dropping all attributes, one after the other, one's self is no other than the cosmic self. One is located back in cosmic nature of Atman, here and now, that he believes. I would say Yajnavalkya's approach is very intellectual, cognitive, contemplative, and apophasis-oriented, whereas Sandilya's older method was autosuggestive, psychological, meditative, and cataphatic. It is not the case that Yajnavalkya does not apply cataphatic methods. He does. For example, he says, Atman is the omnipresent base on which everything is woven as warp and woof, ota prota. Everything is conceptualized or superimposed on that base. But any name, if fixed and formalized, will put the ultimate in a certain perspective. And as such, it would no more be the ultimate. This applies to all terms used to denote the ultimate, such as Brahman, Purusha, and Atman, or in English, God, the ultimate, anything. The scriptures describe the ultimate as the pure essence of being, knowing, awareness, and infinity present in all. But any such description captures one or the other aspect or quality of its immanent expression. Therefore, after denying all attributes, names, and forms, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad carefully presents the way of naming and proposes Satyasya Satyam, the reality of reality. It is not a name, but a way of naming. the ultimate, the essence of everything. The truth can only be experienced in deep meditative state, but as soon as our mind conceptualizes it and puts it in language, it is not the same. The Upanishads state cataphatically that Brahman is the self within all. It is awareness and bliss. It is being, truth, awareness, infinity, and also metaphorically they designate the sun, the moon, the space, and so on as Brahman for the sake of meditative purpose. All these positive descriptions are for the purpose of meditation on one or the other positive quality or majestic representation of Brahman, the ultimate. In these forms, the ultimate is accessible to us and we can engage with it. Thus, the cataphatic description is rational and relational and contextual, and so it can be suggested that it is only one aspect of the reality. Other aspects are shadowed. As it is argued, the ultimate can be approached or venerated effectively and in infinite individual ways, invoking one or the other name and form, but one needs to resort to ineffability and apophatic methods if one wants to awake oneself to the all-accommodating nature of the ultimate, or he wants to feel his infinity. As long as the ultimate is limited to one particular aspect, if one clings to any one particular form and the name attached to that form, however exalted, one is misled by an incomplete understanding or a wrong notion. Therefore, if one wants to understand the reality in its entirety, one must deny each of its fragmented identities or approximations. As soon as one realizes this fact, thanks to this apophatic approach, all boundaries of specifications collapse. And at that very moment, the series of negations is automatically terminated. This makes one wake up and realize that one and the same truth is everywhere in the form of the essence of each entity, though it appears differently in different places. Thus, apophatic thinking leads the seeker to the highest state of understanding, where he or she will drop all fixed proper names and follow the ways of naming or describing or experiencing the ultimate, such as the reality of reality, which cannot be easily formalized and fixed to one or the other aspect. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, on the other hand, formalizes the apophatic method in the form of critical negation of neti neti, neither so nor so, as the best method of knowing the truth of the truth. As argued there, neither so nor so is there anything else beyond the ultimate. That is the sacred fire in the ritual context and the ubiquitous person or self in the context of an inquiry about the essence of the world and self. As the argument goes, however far or near, high or low one may go, what one actually finds is the ultimate, but it remains concealed under its context-specific names and forms. If one does not negate these specific names and forms, one is unable to understand the complete truth. Thus, in earliest occurrences, the Upanishadic apophatic method highlight the ultimacy of the ultimate, one without anything beyond, but itself beyond all names, forms, and human quest. Thus, it teaches that the sacred, the ultimate, is beyond the named or known or nameable or knowable. But it also demonstrates that, thanks to its ubiquity, it is everywhere, here and now, but one can truly understand its omnipresence, ubiquity, only when one is awakened to the truth apophatically. Apophatic statements from the Upanishads describe the truth of the ultimate, the purest essence, in the body and the universe, and also its experience. These apophatic statements are then coupled together with statements proclaiming the non-dual unity of the universe. The original spirit of apophatic teaching was actually holistic. Every one-sided claim was critically negated, relativized, and adjusted at the end as an aspect or face of the one all-pervasive whole. In the system of Vedanta, the apophatic method is regarded as the accurate or the best method leading to the truth of Brahman, the ultimate, but mostly it is interpreted in the line of transcendentalism. And it is proclaimed that the ultimate is that what remains at the pinnacle or core of everything without showing the reconciliation, the reconciled whole. Beyond the Upanishads and the system of Vedanta, the apophatic thinking can be found embedded also in epic Sankhya's concept of abhyakta, the unmanifest, which refers to the source of everything, both consciousness and matter in its primordial state. In any case, the concept of abhyakta, the unmanifest that exists without name or form in the beginning of the creation, is apophatic in nature. No other Hindu school of thought discusses apophatic matter of describing the ultimate clearly or properly. Rather, it is applied in transcendentalist and also pluralist relativist philosophies of the Buddhists and Jainas. In conclusion, let me say that apophatic methods are meant for exhausting the intellectual endeavor, the intellect itself, and forcing it to see the truth holistically. To know that the ultimate is unknowable, at least by way of definition or intellectually, to understand that it is unknowable that way is the true knowing. As Brihadaranyaka Upanishad rhetorically puts, by what means would one know the knower? Vidyataram arekena bijaniyat. The knower, the self, is the ultimate himself. And he is the source of all knowing, but himself remains beyond knowing. His attributes are knowable, describable, but there are limits to the human mind, human intellect. It cannot even enumerate all attributes, even cannot define even human being in a proper way. Human being can be defined in terms of desire, knowledge, and so on, but when we highlight on one, that is already limited. When one realizes this fact and surrenders, the ultimate truth, God, graciously reveals himself. As Hindu theologians of all times teach, there are two ways of experiencing the ultimate methodologically. Now, I'm not talking about cataphatic and apophatic, but the path of devotion, that is one, is the first by surrendering oneself to the God in whichever form one is worshipping him or her. Self-surrender will help him to receive the grace of God, and one will be in presence of God or in union with God, which way he imagines the relation. Another way is heroic path of training oneself through meditation to experience within oneself the all-present core, understood as the ultimate or God, who is the sole actor, sole being in the world and beyond. Thus, one can directly experience him within oneself, but cannot know him and explain. Sakshat aparokshat Brahma. Perhaps one can mystically smile and relax. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Acharya, for that engaging and instructive lecture. On behalf of the encyclopedia and the conference,
Thank you. Thanks a lot.